Hey guys, this is Vineet, and I've got to first off thank Tesla for letting us this time inside the Cybertruck. And I've got with me someone who I respect a lot, whose product I respect a lot. I've got Amjad, the founder of Replit. Thanks for joining me.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Amjad, quick question, right? Tell me a little bit about Replit. What have you guys done new recently?
Yeah, so software development tends to be very tedious. You set up a development environment, you need to figure out how to, find a database, all sorts of infrastructure, object storage. There's a lot that goes into building software. And most entrepreneurs just want to build the software. They don't really care about the minutia of setting up the development environment. So Replit is really the only place where you can go from an idea to a deployed software that you can scale without leaving our website. And so that makes it so that a lot more creators are coming online and they're building businesses, and they require less capital and less time. And some of them are also non-technical. They don't code because we have this new product as of last year called Replit Agent. It
Okay.
was the first software engineering agent in the market. Now there's a lot of others, but it's made to create this convenience for you. They'll set up
Lovely.
everything, provision all the infrastructure for you, and it is a real joy to use it. We also have a mobile app. You
Okay.
can, especially if you're busy, you have a family, you have work, you can kind of put in a prompt on your computer.
Okay.
20 minutes later, you get a notification, and then put in another prompt. So you can just build as part of your life. It doesn't have to take a lot. Because I know a lot of entrepreneurs, they're students in school, they have a
Sure.
lot going on.
They're doing it like a side hustle.
Exactly. So we're trying to take away all the complexity. So it's
Okay.
all about you and your ideas.
You convinced me. I'm going to try it for sure
Okay.
tonight. Okay, a little bit of a different question, right? Now, you started Replit 9 years ago,
Mhm.
almost, right? Things were very different back then when you were a founder.
Yeah.
What do you think has changed for young founders who are thinking of starting this year,
Yeah.
2025? What's become easier for them? What's become different for them?
I would say the journey of Replit actually goes back maybe 15 years. I had
Okay,
the idea back in Jordan, where I'm from.
okay,
But at the time, I made it into an open source project because at the time, there wasn't any sort of venture capital there. It
hmm,
was really hard to hire people on the internet. It was really hard to get the word out. So I felt like I had to come to the United States, find my way into Silicon Valley in order to create the company. I feel like that's one thing where, of course, it's so advantageous to be here, but it is not a requirement. We see a lot of companies, especially people not on the venture track. If you're trying to start a business that could be very profitable, you could become really rich without really needing to build a traditional Silicon Valley style startup, right? You can advertise your thing online.
hmm,
You can launch on Hacker News, Product Hunt, and so it's become a lot easier to get the word out. If you're, especially a lot of Gen Z founders, they really understand social media, so they
hmm.
have an advantage by like going viral on TikTok or Instagram. A lot of it. So now the challenge when you have something like Replit, the challenge becomes less about building the thing. Of course, you need to be creative and build a good product that has a good market. But a lot of the challenge now is becoming marketing, getting attention,
Okay,
because there's so many things around us,
of
right?
course.
And so I think the founders that are really talented at social media have a real advantage today.
I absolutely agree with you. In fact, when I meet younger founders, right, I tell them tech is table stakes. I
Mm-hmm.
will assume as an investor that you already know what you want to build,
Mm-hmm.
right? Either you can use a product like Replit, or maybe you are a hardcore techie, you will use Cursor. It doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
Tech is table stakes. GTM and distribution is what I want to learn.
Right.
And if you
Right.
see some successes, like an easy one is Cluely, right? What
Mm-hmm.
what they have done, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I follow a bunch of these 18 to 21-year-old builders on
Yeah.
Twitter, and I'm learning so much from them.
Yeah, a
So
lot of old Silicon Valley folk, they're kind of being cynical about it. Like, what are you doing? This is stupid. But they understand that it's a war for attention. And so, I don't fault them for playing that game, right? And you built your platform on LinkedIn, and I think it's an investment that people need to make in order to build that distribution, not just for the first startup or the first product, but continuously down the line.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Last question. You've been very patient. You grew up in Jordan. You
Mhm.
mentioned that. I grew up in India.
Mhm.
We are both here in San Francisco.
Mhm.
Trying to build something.
Mhm.
What is one piece of advice you'd give to another younger founder who did not grow up here
Mhm.
but is now wanting to come here?
Mhm.
What is the one advice you'd give them?
I would say you can immerse yourself in Silicon Valley culture without coming here, before you come here,
Okay.
such that by the time you come here, you already understand the customs and things like that. There's so many, you can go watch the startup school videos
Mhm.
on YouTube. You start to understand how people talk here. It's kind of a little idiosyncratic. You can read books about Silicon Valley. You can watch, even
The
the
show
Silicon Valley
itself, the
HBO show.
right?
It's absurd, but Silicon Valley is absurd, and so
Yeah.
you can, and that's what I did. Even back then, I plugged into Twitter, and X
Okay.
is a big place to kind of understand who's who
Hmm.
and understand the culture here. And then when you come here, put yourself out there. I used to go to all sorts of random meetups. I met people about these meetups that are now working for Replit. I met other founders that invested in Replit,
Okay. Okay.
and so just constantly put yourself out there. At some point, you have to focus on your business and your startup. Uh, but when you first get here, just try to find a social network to embed yourself in.
I agree. So it's that initial few weeks when you land, right?
Hmm.
You've got to spread out a little bit
Right.
before you decide what vertical you're going to specifically focus on.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Appreciate it, Amjad.
Yeah.
Thank
Of
you so
course.
very much, buddy.
A pleasure. Appreciate it, man.
All right, take it
Thanks.
easy.
Thanks, Tesla.
Bye, guys.